Hello, good morning. Morning, Stella. Can you hear me? Hello, Adwaita. Am I? Stella, are you there? Can you hear me, Stella? Okay, but I can't hear you. Would you like to check your microphone, please? So, good morning, everyone. Welcome to my subscribers lesson about IELTS. It will be difficult for me to understand, Stella, if you can't talk. So, I can hear the sound from your side now. Looks like. Uh-oh, we lost you. Okay, welcome everyone once again. So, if Stella is back, then we can talk to her. Hello, Stella, welcome back. Are you okay to talk, Stella?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now. Welcome back. So, how are you doing today?
I'm feeling great. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm fantastic. And thank you very much for subscribing to my lesson.
Okay.
Please tell us a little bit more about you.
Uh, these days I'm trying to study IELTS. Recently I got overall 6.5 points, but my future goal is 7.0.
Oh, that's great. So, you need only a little bit more.
Yes,
Was it academic or general?
it was academic.
Mm-hmm. And which part of the IELTS you were weak, you think?
Of course, speaking, I think I don't. I think I can handle when it comes to listening part, reading part, or writing part, but speaking is obviously the most difficult part for me.
Okay, so we'll focus on mainly speaking then. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Great. So thank you very much for subscribing once again and welcome to my lesson. There is another person, but he's on holiday today. He's from Malaysia and he will join next week. He's messaged me.
Okay.
So let's move on about IELTS speaking. So, do you remember when you sat for the IELTS exam? What was your topic in Q card?
Uh, it was more than 2 months ago. If my memory serves me right, it was about. In part one, the examiner asked me about shoes. like how much money do you spend usually on buying shoes or something like that. And in part two, the experience when I first moved to a new university or new apartment or yeah, something like that. In part three, yeah, it was pretty embarrassing and I think it was very difficult. He asked me about some questions like why superiors want their employers to move on to another part, or uh, what is the strongest effect of education in school, and something like that. I was kind of petrified in part three.
Okay, because part three is definitely a bit advanced conversation where you need to be
Okay.
prepared and you don't know which topic would be asked. Okay, so let's assume that we are taking test. I'm the examiner, you're the student today there. Then we can move on and we'll explain how to answer. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Okay.
Before that, let me give you some specific, um, you know, some tips about speaking, which will help you because you already set for the exam. Was it only
Uh-huh.
This was your first time 2 months ago, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. So, number one tip for the speaking techniques is that you know that how do they mark it, yeah? So in IELTS speaking, there are four sections they're going to assess, and the sections are your fluency and coherence, 25%. Then lexical resources, 25%. Using grammar and wider range of grammar, 25%. And the last 25% is your pronunciation.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so these are the four criteria they always assess and they give you mark. And one amazing matter of this IELTS speaking part is that, you know, if you know how to make compound sentences, would be the amazing way to, get more marks because you got already 6.5, you said, right?
Yes.
So I think it will be easier for you to get 7 or maybe 7.5 this time. So is
Mhm.
this score required for your admission for studying purpose somewhere,
Uh,
Stella?
oh yeah. After a graduation in university in my country, I'm planning to work abroad,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I am preparing for IELTS test.
Very good. Okay, before we start anymore, I'd like to know a little bit more, like where are you from and what are you doing at the moment and how do you spend your free time? Please answer this first question. What are you? What do you do? Number two, what's your future plan and how to spend your free time? Stella, are you there?
Yeah. Okay. Uh, Firstly, I'm still in my university, as I mentioned earlier, majoring in physical therapy. And if I have any luck, I would like to work in America after graduation. And usually in my free time, uh, I try to not waste my time by reading some books or uh, at least watching some American dramas. Yeah, that's it.
Do you have anything to do, like any hobbies other than this?
Mm, uh, yes. Actually, I heard that the definition of hobby could be a little bit different from in my country and in Western countries. for example, in my country, everybody says that their hobbies are watching TV or playing some computer games, while in Western countries they say that those are not exactly hobbies, because hobbies should be require some proper effort, such as sports or something like that. But to
Mm,
say about my hobby in my country's definition, that would be just reading or just watching some Netflix shows.
okay, you have mentioned this too. That's right. In the Western countries, we do not ask straight to about our hobbies. We ask how to spend your free time or what do you like to
Uh-huh.
do during your spare time. So these are the two ways they ask the same questions. Okay, I'm going to share the
Uh-huh.
screen so that you know what, and I can write it so that you can remember. Another important matter would be, Stella, bring a notebook when you attend this class so that you can take some of the notes. How can you can get your required score? Okay,
Okay.
so they don't ask once again directly this question, what is a hobby or what are your hobbies, but they ask this way. Can you see the screen? What do you
Yes,
do
of course.
to in your free time or spare time? So this is the indirect way to ask, uh, you know, uh, what are your hobbies? Okay. Okay. I remember
Mm-hmm.
that one important matter that when you're answering, use different kinds of grammatical pattern to answer. If you've got more than one hobby, okay, like you said, I like watching movies from Netflix. Okay. And what was the other
Uh-huh.
answer you said?
Or reading books.
Okay. Remember, instead of saying reading books, say like this, writing, I like watching from Netflix. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Uh, reading books is my another hobby. Yeah? I look at this two sentence pattern. Instead of simply reading books, uh, use full sentence in order to get good marks. Remember that this is one of the IELTS strategies. Do not be limited to one or two words. Better to use the full sentence so that you get the good marks. Because the
Uh-huh.
important matter is that if an examiner doesn't listen to you, and there is no way the examiner is going to assess your speaking style or your marking. Okay, by the way,
Okay.
when I'm trying to talk, Stella, because I live in England, I try to use the British IPA, where most of the cases are, it will be silent, yeah? But if you have got any
Uh-huh.
question, please always ask me. Stop me and ask me. In
Okay.
in British English, R is silent most of the cases, and T is strong, and many other vowel sounds that are different from the American accents. As we go through, I'll just give you some differentiation as well, prominent to let these two letters. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now look at this answer. I like watching movies from Netflix. Reading books is another hobby. And if you have another hobby, you can add like gardening. Says someone says, and gardening is sorry, gardening is my additional hobby. Now you can see that these three sentences have got three different types of pattern, and that is what want examiner during your IELTS exams. When you're demonstrating your English speaking, you must use different kinds of grammar structure. Okay.
Uh-huh.
All right. And also, do you know what are compound sentences?
Yes, I heard about it.
Okay. If you use compound sentence in your writing, IELTS academic writing, or in speaking, you'll get more marks than any other person. I always give the demonstration of one question. We're coming here. The question is, say, when did pandemic start? Could you please answer it, Stella?
Uh, could you repeat that, please?
Okay, I'm writing it for you as well. When did pandemic start?
You mean COVID-19?
Yes.
Yeah, that will be the end of November of 2019.
Okay. Look at this answer. Yes, your answer is correct. It is at the end of, say, 2019. And I just give a demonstration like this. And one of my students asks like this, use the compound sentence. It was not until December 2019 when the pandemic started globally. Globally, okay?
Uh-huh.
This is just an demonstration for you because you know how to speak and how to create sentences. Look at simply saying it started at the end of this December, 2019. And if someone says that it was not until December 2019 when the pandemic started globally. Now, when examiner is giving marks, this person will get better marks because the person has used a compound sentence, or sometimes
Uh-huh.
we use complex sentences as well. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So my suggestion would be same for you. When you're answering, if possible, try to make compound sentence. That will bring you more marks in your IELTS exam.
Okay.
Okay. So this is one of the techniques, and let me briefly explain what are the other things you must include. Grammar, use correct grammar, number one. Number two, clarity. Do not mumble, speak clearly. Accuracy. Focus on clear grammar and precisions and do not try to use new words or phrases you're not sure of. You said that you like reading books, right, Stella?
Uh-huh.
What was the last book you read recently?
Uh, that was the Midnight Library.
Mm-hmm. Who was the writer?
Uh, the writer's name is Matt Haig.
Okay, from which country the writer?
Actually, I don't know exactly. Maybe the writer is from the UK or America. Maybe from the UK, I think.
Okay, that's all right. So just I'm asking to have continued my communication with you to find out about the books. Do you remember what is the book about?
Yes, of course. Uh, the main character's name was Nora, whose age was 35, and as soon as she decided to die, uh, some kind of magic happened in the Midnight Library. In that place, she experienced many of her different lives, thanks to some magics. Uh, and after all the experiences, she got another life, and she became more positive about her life.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's cool. All right. So what you have explained well. That's cool. So let's revise the points. What you should, include in speaking part. Talk loudly and clearly. So talk loud enough so that the examiner can hear you, assess you. Do not speak too fast. Do not speak too slow. Okay, there is a 3 minutes, I mean 3 seconds gap. Have you ever heard this technique? 3 seconds gap.
Uh, Actually, no.
Okay. This technique is I came to know when I was taking lessons quite a long time ago. So the technique is that when you're speaking, do not give a gap more than 3 seconds. Like, let me ask you and see how you do answer these questions. Do you know what is Area 51?
No, what's that?
Okay. Now, uh, another basic technique of IELTS exam is that sometimes you may not know all the answers. Hmm. Did it happen to you last time? Could you answer all of them?
Yes, unfortunately, especially in part three, I couldn't answer some of the questions because it was way too complicated and I was kind of petrified.
Oh, you have used a very good word, petrified. Well done. This is an academic word. Remember, if you use different kinds of academic words, speaking, you'll get good marks.
Uh-huh.
And what was the question in part three again? Actually, I should take a note here.
Uh,
If you remember, that's fine. Otherwise, that's all right.
they were related to education and work. Uh,
Mm.
he asked me like why in many companies why the superiors or top leaders want their employees to go to another place, and what is the main role of school uh, uh, in social status,
Hmm.
and I can't remember the rest of the questions.
So it's related to mostly work and education and different complex sentences. Yeah,
Yeah, of course.
right. Mm. Understandable. So remember, even though you don't know the answer of any questions, and also in the your like job interview, all I use this simple technique. Just simply, have to say sometimes, sorry, I don't know, but I would like to know. Make the negative into positive way. Okay, like I don't know the answer at the moment, but in the future, I'd like to know it about it. Because being a candidate, it's not possible always to know all the answers, and that's the fact. Because we don't know everything, but we try to know when you know about a topic, so that it doesn't happen in the future in somewhere. Okay, so
Okay.
3 seconds gap is that. Mm, say I'm asking you, do you know what is global warming, Stella?
Yes, of course, I know the word global warming.
Okay, so what do you know about global warming? Tell me briefly, please.
uh, 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 Briefly saying about global warming, it simply means that the Earth's average temperature is getting higher and higher due to the activities that human made.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And do you know what are the possible reasons for global warming?
There could be tons of reasons. Uh, uh, um, Usually, many of it happen because of the a lot of traffic that human beings are made, uh, and the carbon emission from a lot of cars, buses, taxis are getting are making worse the air quality, and uh, the contaminated air from a lot of plants could be also another reasons for the global warming.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. You have answered well. Okay. And I was trying to find out, the 3 seconds gap is that many a times when a candidate doesn't know the answer, they stop it suddenly and they think in the middle of the speaking, and the examiner counts 1 second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds. And if the gap is more than 3 seconds, the person is then assessed as not fluent. So remember,
Uh-huh.
fluency is one of the important factors to get good marks in IELTS exam. But you have got so far fluency. I didn't find any problem about you having fluency. Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. And the only thing I will suggest, maybe for the third part, we're going to have a little bit more a focus, but still we'll discuss speaking task 1 and 2, so that it will be easier for you and me, because we are going to have 8 lessons from today. So
Uh-huh.
I believe that we can focus 4 lessons for the speaking task 3, and 2 lessons 1, another 2 lessons speaking task 2. But if you need any other help from any other part, you are more than welcome. You can always ask me so that we can have a little bit look about that. Okay,
Okay.
great. So remember, 3 seconds gap is, it's not applicable for you because you're fluent already. It is applicable for those students or those learners who have got difficulty sometimes, because they try to translate from their mother tongue to English, which I don't support. If you do that, sometimes you lose the meaning, you lose the structure, and you lose the timing. Speak naturally
Uh-huh.
and articulately. And even if you're making mistakes, don't worry about the mistakes. We all make mistakes, and mistakes are the part of our learning. But as long as you can learn from it, that is the impact of making mistakes. All right. Uh, we lost you again, Sarah, Stella.
Sorry for the connection. Something came up.
No worries. Welcome back. I'm here to get you back. No worries. Okay. And then next point is be confident and positive. Always remember, even if you know that you don't know the answer, don't be scared or nervous. This is very negative feature. It would be if you become nervous and if you become scared, and during this speaking conversation, you'll see that you'll forget the things you know already. So it's better not to be nervous or scared. Okay. uh,
Okay.
do not be repetitive. That's very important rule in our speaking task. So what happens, many learners use filler words, we call them, like actually. Sometimes they use, like I had a student who always used to say like this. I had to stop him, like, teacher, actually I woke up. I asked him, what did you do this morning? And he started speaking like this. Teacher, actually I woke up this morning, and actually I went to the bathroom, actually I had my uh, brush, actually I got paste. He was using actually in every 2 to 3 seconds. So yeah, it will be better for anyone not to be repetitive. No, actually, maybe you can use once or twice one word. Now if you like to use the same word again, what you have to do, that is the amazing question. You have to use the different kinds of synonyms, lexical
Mm-hmm.
resources we call it. If you remember lexical resources, it could be synonyms, it could be antonyms, it could be phrasal verbs, it could be a phrase, and in some cases it could be an idioms, or in some cases it could be a dialect as well, because in many parts of the world people use English dialects, like in America or the UK. And remember, those IELTS exam is a formal environment. You're allowed to use informal English as well, informal expressions, but do not use wanna, gonna. That will really not bring good marks. That is
Uh-huh.
that is
Okay.
beyond normal English. You can use it during normal conversation, but do not use in an exam environment. Like, I wanna do this, I'm gonna do this. No, it doesn't really sound better to get good marks. Okay, use this
Okay.
and also use this type of contraction. Wanna gonna one more time. Hapta, lotta, gotta. Okay. Because you said what the IELTS exam, I've got a question. Do you know that a lot of is an informal
Uh,
expressions? Like
uh,
I've got a lot of books. People you say or lots of. Both are informal.
yeah. Um. Yeah, I've heard about that. Lots of is kind of informal language, while a lot of is kind of formal language.
Both are informal, Stella. Honestly,
Oh,
this
really?
yeah
Really?
yeah these are a lot of. Another you can say lots of without using a. When you don't use a, you say lots of. I've got lots of money, for example, or I've got a lot of money. The formal would be, what would be the formal? Let me see.
What about tons of?
Pardon?
uh, tons of? I'm not sure.
Would you like to write the word, please, in the comment section? Tons of. Similarly, informal. Tons of.
Uh,
Tons of. Uh, lots of. Millions. A lot of. These are all informal. But you can use in your
oh,
in English expression. That's fine. But do not write this type of words in your writing. That's what I'm saying. That's fine. You can use in it during conversation. But if you want to use formal words in speaking, that will bring more marks rather than using informal words. Okay, many or much, both are formal words.
okay.
Okay, you can say I've got many friends, many books. I've got much money, but I don't have much knowledge how to get to the very extreme mark in IELTS exam, for example.
Hmm.
Do you know the use of many and much, Stella?
Yes, of course. Uh, in the uh, I mean, before the accountable nouns like books or uh, pens, we can use the word many, while we can't use the word many in front of uh, non-countable nouns such as water, salt, or sand.
Hmm.
We should use the word much instead.
Okay. Would you like to give one example for both of them?
Uh, I have many. I want to have many dogs in the future, and I want much dessert for my dinner.
Very good. Well done. Bravo. High five for you. That's great. But in speaking time, in conversational expressions, sometimes some people really are confused using these two words. Well done. So I don't have to explain these things to you then, many and much. But remember, repetitive when you're using like actually, like what are the other ways you can say actually? Like you can say in fact, for example, or in my understanding, or to the point of the fact, factual matter, etc. Okay, so this is just an
Okay.
example for you and all the people who are listening to us silently. We do not use the same word more than once in IELTS speaking as well as writing. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
Similarly, when you're giving your opinions in IELTS exam in writing, especially writing task 2, when you have to write the big essay, sometimes you need to give your opinion. Okay, so
Okay.
you say to the best of my understanding, sometimes you say, or you can say in my opinion, or the way I see it. Okay, etc. These are some examples in writing. Similarly, when you're giving your opinion in speaking task, you can use the similar pattern, similar expressions. All right.
Hmm.
Okay, so let's move on. The next one is use different kind of vocabulary that I've explained. Make it personal. When you're giving examples, sometimes you need to give examples about yourself. Do not bring anyone's example. And when you're talking, make it interesting. How do you make a conversation interesting, Stella? What's your opinion? Number 11.
Uh, this is very tricky. Maybe I can add some interesting lies. I heard that some lecturers used to tell me that it's okay to add some lies in the real exam because the IELTS test is not testing the trustworthy or something like that. They are just testing your language fluency.
Exactly. The examiner is 100% correct. It is not the matter where you're telling truth or lie, or it's just you're creating stories. In a speaking task are nothing but creating those stories in task 1 and 3 in a so reliable and interesting way, and exam is going to assess only your English, speaking style, your grammar, your vocabs, your pronunciation. They are not going to judge you whether you're telling truth or not. Okay, that's correct. Like, let me give you one example and it'll be clear. uh, it was in task 2 a topic uh, that um, the person you like most. Okay, and uh, the speaker started like this: in my bedside there is a photograph with my dad. Every morning when I wake up, it always reminds me my dad, who is my best friend, the person I like. Okay, so then I asked the person, do you have photo with the dad beside your bedside? The person said, no, it's just I made up to make it interesting. You see, these are the ways. And also you can say, describe a photograph you like much. Then you can say, oh, the selfie is just beside my, sorry, in my mobile phone. So whenever I see it, it reminds me that person, that photograph. These are all made up, remember. Okay. The best answer would be in IELTS exam if the topic matches anything from your past incidents or events, then it will be better for you to explain the incident. But it doesn't. Just make it up. Make it up such a reliable way so your examiner is impressed after listening to your conversation. Okay.
Okay.
So that's correct, whatever you explain. Stick to the point. That is very much important for IELTS exam. We call it cohesion as well in another way, that you're explaining step by step and only about the topic. Stick to the point. Stick to the topic. Say you've been asked one question. Now you said area 51. You said, teacher, I don't know. I'm sorry, but I'd like to know in the future. Your answer is finished. But if you're trying to guess what is area 51, now you're saying something else. Like area 51 is after area 50. Yeah, someone said this answer. Stella. So area 51 is a place in the United States of America, Nevada state, where the US government makes all the projects and research about the aliens. Okay, there are many movies in Hollywood they made up on the basis of area 51. Okay, that is the correct fact, that area 51 is an area in Nevada state of the US where the governments are high, you know, authorized people or classified people are engaged in research of alien and their existence. That is the correct answer. Okay. And if
Okay.
someone doesn't know what is area 15, this and that guy said it is made after area 50, and the examiner is laughing. Oh, there is no area 50. Okay. You're just, the person is just trying to making it up. All right. And talk as much as you can. That is another important matter. If you do not talk, or if you stop talking, there is no way either I or the examiner in your real life can assess your marking, because the examiner needs to listen to your conversation, your expressions, once again, your articulation, and your natural way of speaking. Remember that very often we are confused about the pronunciation and accent and IELTS exam. Okay, that's
Okay.
why I always write speak naturally in your own accent. That's fine. okay, and follow the pronunciation techniques. There are some techniques, that in pronunciation, so that you get good marks. For example, I've just noticed that you're trying to speak in the American IPA, but that's fine.
Yes.
But no, that's okay. That's fine. That's quite understandable. But sometimes some students become confused which pronunciation they will follow, British or American, or they get mixed up. We call it amalgamated pronunciation, but simply mixed up. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
amalgamated. Sorry, when I'm typing, I'm making mistake as well. Amalgamated pronunciation. That is, in simply mixed up pronunciation. You have to remember that in IELTS exam, it is better to follow only one type. Even in the writing, the American spelling technique and the British spelling techniques, you have to choose only one of them, not both of them together.
Uh-huh.
Similarly, when you're trying to speak an American pronunciation, an important feature of American pronunciation, again, letter R and letter T, I'll give you a simple example and it will be clear for you. Like water, that is standard British pronunciation, but water, American way, okay? Like, may I have a bottle of
Uh-huh.
water, please? Now, if you say, may I have a bottle of water, look, mixing up. Do not do it. Just follow only one types of pronunciation in one sentence or all of your whole conversation. Okay?
Okay.
Speak naturally, follow the punctuation techniques, and speak articulately.
Mm-hmm.
That would be the last point. Okay, let's do some simple test about the task one. Stella, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Very good. If you remember, in IELTS exam, the speaking part is recorded as a proof and evidence. Because if you're not happy about the scoring, you can always appeal for the rescoring within the 28 days from the date of exam. Are you aware of this fact?
Yes, of course, I've heard about that.
Okay. Um, what happens basically, I'm explaining briefly. If somebody challenges like this or makes an appeal against that decision, then they send this recording to the UK to get it assessed by another examiner. And if the mark is higher, then they give you the average marking. For example, previously you got 6, but this time after assessing, they found that you got 7. Now they will make it average. 6 plus 6, 7, average is 6.5. Okay?
Uh-huh.
But
Okay.
most of the cases, after the assessment, the score doesn't go up because this is their policy as well. They don't want to manipulate the previous examiners professionalism.
Uh-huh.
So that is another hidden technique for them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So Stella, picture it. Welcome to the speaking task one today. And say my name is Examiner RahatAli, examiner number 23497. Welcome. Like, may I see your ID, please? You must always take your ID, a passport or national ID card. Then you show it.
Yes, of course.
Mhm.
Here it is.
Okay. May I know your full name?
My name is Seo Young-sun and I'm from South Korea.
Very good. Here is one thing I would like to add. Some people use this nickname or pet name. Have you ever heard this word? Nickname and pet name?
Yes, of course. These days, I think it is become obvious that more and more people are using nicknames or other names so that they can have another kind of identity. For example, in many computer games, many people you always use their nickname rather than their real name.
Exactly. It is sometimes for the safety of your real identity. They do that. Very good.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
And one of my students answered like this, though my name is this and that, but my nickname is, say, for example, Pat. And my family members call me Pat, or my mother calls me Pat. Okay, so that's a good answer. Thank you, Stella. The next one is, how may I address you?
Uh, you can call me So, which is a short name from my real name, or you can just call me Stella, which is my English name.
Okay, now this word address, I need to clarify. Address, do you know the difference? Address is a verb and address is a noun. When
Uh-huh.
do you use noun and when do you use verb? Uh, you need to take a note. This is very important for the pronunciation development. In English language, there are thousands of words you will find with the same word we can use as a noun or we can use as a verb, depending on the tone, depending on your expression. English language is a stressed language, which also called sometimes time limited language, or the language of your tonal expressions. And I'm sure, Stella, you know that there are basically uh, uh, three tonal expressions. One is rising notations or rising intonations, like voice is always going high, like in this in question, like, hey, how may I help you? Look, this voice is going up. We call this rising intonation or upper intonation. When the voice goes down, we call it falling intonation or down intonation. Are you still there? Look.
Uh,
And another one is monotonous, that goes straight, like robots speak like this, like, my name is T29, I'm from the 29th century, how may I help you? Look, this is like a robotic tone. As a human, we do not use any robotic tone. Now, another two possible intonation is sometimes we speak from down tone to upper tone. Hey, what is happening now? Look, going up to down. Okay. And the other, if you can use the opposite tone, what is happening now? But did you see, did you notice when we use different kinds of notation, our voice changes and our concept of communication and questions become different. And people will be able to understand by listening to your tone that what are you asking? Is it a question? It is a surprise? Is it a shock? It is a sadness? Is it a
mhm.
happiness? It is exclamation. Similarly, address and address. Look, when we use address as a noun, it is upper tone to down tone. I'll show you the uh, explanation so that you can understand. If you see the word
Uh-huh.
add, it should go up. Oops, sorry. Let me make it a little bit bigger so that you understand. So address is where we live, your place of living place. That is the address. Did
Uh-huh.
address. So Stella, what's your address? Then you say, yeah, my address is this and this in South Korea. Or if somebody asks me, Rahat, what's your address? I'll say, my address this and this. I live in Essex County of England. Now, this is address, this is noun, remember? That's why our tone goes from up to down. Address. When you use verb, it becomes just opposite tone. So it should be address. That's the question I asked you. How may I address you? Address means when you're calling someone or when you're explaining something. Okay, like this morning, our Prime Minister Boris Johnson addressed the nation about the new pandemic rules. There wouldn't be any more health and safety guidelines to be maintained from the next week because Corona is under control in the UK. That's the news we heard this morning. Okay, now
Uh-huh.
look at this different address and address. Can you please try address?
Address.
Noun, very good, and address.
Address.
Very good. Verb. Remember, there are other words like very often you use like contract. Another word, contract. Yeah, and then close. Very often we use it, but we need to be careful about this word close. Like when you're using as a verb, when you're using it as adjective or a noun. And then back up, then clear. Okay, these are some common words. I've just given examples, uh, which may be used both as noun as well as a verb. Okay,
Uh-huh.
clear?
Yes.
Very good. So, next question. Well done. Where do you come from, or where are you from?
Like I mentioned earlier, I'm from South Korea, and I'm still a student majoring in physical therapy.
So that's your also adding your studies. Remember one important matter. Remember, Stella, you should be always focused on the style of the question and always answer according to the question pattern. So what does it mean? Like if the question pattern is present simple or present tense, answer in present simple or present tense. Okay. If the question pattern is
Okay.
past tense, which very often many of our learners become confused using past tense because they started with present tense. I'm going to give an example and demonstration as well. So remember, if the question is where do you come from, just say simply where you're from. You don't have to use or add any more additional information like what do you study. That will be
Okay. Okay.
different question. Okay, Stella, what do you study? What do you do at the moment, for example? Then you can say physical therapy. So what's the reason for studying physical therapy? Now you tell me, where are you studying it?
Uh, my university uh, is a place where which that is called Daejeon. Uh, though it's not that big as the metropolis like Seoul, but I think it's a nice place to study.
Okay, but may I know the reason why are you studying this specific subject? What's your plan for the
Mm,
future?
uh, Firstly, the reason why I chose this major was because of my because of my one of my French friends. Uh, he recommended me this major when I consulted him, and the more I was searching for uh, for the for the information of this job, the more I was into this job because uh, at the same time I could help some other people while uh, while I can get some higher salaries, and it was also attractive that I could also work abroad after graduation.
Okay, good answer. Is salary is very important to get a good job?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, Stella. Now I'm asking the question in differently. Do you think that salary should be an important matter to get a good job?
Mm, Honestly, yes, I think so. Uh, mm, Firstly, if if some of the jobs salaries are higher than other jobs, then it is natural that more intelligent young people would like to get the job, which means the future of the jobs could be brighter by doing so. Um,
Okay, good answer. Bravo again for you. All right. So this is the way they start, as you remember, and then we go to the task one, and they can ask you any question in task one because there is no, syllabus, we should say, or any hard and fast rule what they should ask. So, uh, would you like to tell about your favorite? You know, do you like to play game, Stella?
uh, Not really, not really. I used to like a lot of computer games or smartphone games when I was younger, but now that I'm an adult, I realized that doing a lot of games could be just waste of time. So I would rather reading a book or watching some dramas rather than doing a lot of games.
Very good answer. Impressive. Okay, now I'm changing the topic. You have mentioned that you're from Korea. What is the
Uh-huh.
specialty of your area, the area you live?
Mm, uh, in my city, in my small city called Cheongju, actually, as it's not big as other big cities such as Busan or Seoul, uh, it's quite it's a quite small place to live in, which means the air quality is not bad as in other big cities, and there are fewer people. Uh, so it seems like especially many older people, are satisfied with living in this place, even though some young people are eager to move on to big cities when they become independent.
Okay, good answer. And what kind of housing accommodation are available in your country, in your area? I mean to say.
Mostly, I mean, as I see, more than 90%, the most common form of housing is obviously apartment. Uh, because the density of population in my country is seriously high, uh, you can see a lot of apartment like everywhere. And aside from that form of housing, there are some flat houses such as two stories house and uh, multi-stories houses.
Okay, is renting in your area is cheap or economical?
Could you repeat that, please?
The renting of a house or a property in your area is economical or costly?
Uh, I would say uh, the prices are overall reasonable and not that expensive, uh, because the demand of my city is not that high as other places such as Seoul or other big cities.
All right, good answer. We have got 1 minute, then it's going to be finished. All right, okay. Let me ask one more question then. Okay. So, in your place, do you have the chance to buy a property through bank or through the government?
Mm, could you repeat that, please?
Okay, it's about the property. Can you buy a property through your bank, local bank, or through the government? Is there any scheme? No worries.
Property?
No worries. We can continue later. Okay. That's really cool, Stella.
Okay.
Thank you very much because we have got only 19 seconds. It is counting down. It will be shut down automatically. This is how it works.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Yeah, remember that if you have got any questions or comments, bring it next lesson, or you can always message me in the subscriber chat. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Thank you so much, teacher.
You're very welcome. You take care. Bye.